Do you remember the days when the world felt a little slower and the simplest things brought us the greatest joy? Let's take a nostalgic journey back to the 1980s and explore 20 activities that filled our days with fun and laughter, but have since faded away. Hey there, friends, gather around and let's hop into a time machine for a little trip back to the 1980s. Picture it. Neon colors, big hair, and a world without smartphones or the internet. Now put on your favorite retro tunes and let's dive into some cherished memories of 20 activities from the 80s that we no longer do. Number 20, renting VHS tapes at video stores. Remember the excitement of heading to the local video store on a Friday night? Renting VHS tapes was a big deal. You'd stroll through the aisles looking at the colorful covers, trying to decide which movie to take home. The best part was rushing back to watch it with family or friends, complete with popcorn and candy. It was a fun ritual, and finding the perfect movie felt like winning a small prize.
You know, in the 80s and 90s, it was just making money hand over fist. Like, video rental was like hugely profitable.
Number 19, using floppy disks for storage. Back in the 80s, if you needed to save your computer work, you used a floppy disk. These small square disks held a tiny amount of data compared to today's standards, but they were essential. When you inserted it into your computer, it made a satisfying click, and you had to be careful not to bend or damage it. They may seem outdated now, but floppy disks were once the height of technology. Number 18, developing film at photomats. Taking photos in the 80s meant using a film camera, and after snapping your pictures, you take the film to a photomat to get it developed. These little kiosks were often found in parking lots, and it felt like magic when you finally picked up your printed photos. Opening your photos was always exciting after waiting for them to develop.
Photomat wants to show you some pictures you never saw before.
Number 17, playing music on Walkman. Ah, the Walkman. This portable cassette player was a game changer. You could take your favorite music anywhere, listening through headphones as you walked, jogged, or just hung out. Making a mixtape was an art form, and having the perfect playlist for your Walkman was a source of pride. It was your personal soundtrack to life long before digital music came along.
Just slip into the featherweight headphones, pop in your favorite cassette, and you'll not only hear the music.
Number 16, smoking on airplanes. Believe it or not, smoking on airplanes was once allowed. There were designated smoking sections, and you'd see passengers lighting up during the flight. It's difficult to imagine now with all the health regulations and smoke-free policies, but back then it was a common sight. Although the air was significantly more smoky, people didn't give it much thought. The times have definitely changed for the better.
Who are you?
Number 15, watching Laserdisc movies. Laserdiscs were like giant DVDs and were the cutting-edge way to watch movies at home. The discs were shiny, large, and a bit delicate, but the picture quality was impressive for the time. You'd have to flip the discs halfway through the movie, which added a bit of a ritual to your viewing experience. Although Laserdiscs didn't last long, they were a glimpse into the future of home entertainment. Number 14, making mixtapes. Creating a mixtape was a labor of love. You'd sit by your radio or cassette player, carefully selecting songs to record onto a blank tape. Whether it was a mix of your favorite hits, a soundtrack for a special occasion, or a personal message to someone, each mixtape was unique. Handing someone a mixtape was like sharing a piece of your soul through music. Number 13, using payphones. Instead of using a cell phone while traveling, consider using a payphone. You drop a coin into the slot, dial the number, and hope the person was home to answer. Payphones were often found on street corners, in shopping centers, and at gas stations. They were a lifeline in emergencies and a staple of daily life. Number 12, playing with He-Man and She-Ra action figures. He-Man and She-Ra action figures were the superheroes of many childhoods. These toys brought the magical world of Eternia into our living rooms. Kids would spend hours imagining epic battles between beneficial and evil, with He-Man's strength and She-Ra's bravery leading the charge. The figures were sturdy, colorful, and sparked endless adventures.
Friends for epic battles of good versus evil.
Number 11. Watching MTV for music videos. MTV revolutionized how we experienced music. Watching music videos on MTV was a daily habit, with video jockeys or DJs introducing the latest hits and coolest artists. The channel played non-stop music videos, and iconic shows like 120 Minutes became must-see TV. MTV made music more visual and exciting, giving fans a closer connection to their favorite songs and stars. Number 10. Using typewriters. Before computers, typewriters were the primary tool for writing documents. The clack of the keys and the ding of the carriage return were familiar sounds. Typing on a typewriter required precision, since correcting mistakes wasn't easy. There was a certain satisfaction in seeing your words appear on paper, letter by letter, and it felt like a real accomplishment when you finished a page. Number 9. Taking road trips with paper maps. Going on a road trip in the 1980s meant unfolding a giant paper map to plot your course. There were no GPS devices or smartphones, so navigating was an adventure in itself. You'd mark your route with a pen and keep the map handy, often refolding it awkwardly as you drove. Getting lost was part of the fun, and finding your way again made for great stories.
And I am in Tampa, which is way down here. There's St. Pete at the bottom.
Number 8. Programming in BASIC on home computers. Home computers in the 1980s and 1990s often came with BASIC, a simple programming language. Kids and adults alike would spend hours writing their own programs, creating basic games or solving math problems. It was a time when learning to code was hands-on and required a lot of patience and creativity. Those early experiences with BASIC sparked a lifelong love for technology in many people.
The telephone. I'm now waiting for the computer to answer me.
Number 7. Driving without seatbelt laws. Believe it or not, there was a time when wearing seatbelts wasn't mandatory. People would hop into their cars and drive off without a second thought. While some did in the late 80s, it wasn't until the 90s that seatbelt laws were enforced in most states. Nowadays, it's hard to imagine not buckling up, but back then, it was just the way things were.
We're making it laws where you can't drink when you want to. You have to wear a seatbelt when you're driving.
Number 6. Using phone books. Are you looking for a local business or someone's phone number? You'd reach for a hefty phone book. Those thick directories listed almost everyone's landline numbers and addresses, organized alphabetically. Flipping through the pages was a common chore, and jotting down numbers in your address book was part of everyday life. It was a handy tool, even if it took up a lot of space.
The new phone book's here! The new phone book's here!
Number 5. Shopping from catalogs. Before online shopping, people browsed through thick catalogs from stores like Sears and JCPenney. You'd spend hours flipping through the glossy pages, making wish lists and filling out order forms. Waiting for your package to arrive in the mail added to the excitement. Shopping from catalogs was a mix of anticipation and delight, especially around the holidays. Number 4. Participating in aerobics classes. Aerobics classes were all the rage in the 1980s. People donned colorful leotards, leg warmers, and headbands, gathering in community centers and gyms to exercise to upbeat music. Led by energetic instructors, these classes were a fun way to stay fit and socialize. The routines were simple but effective, and the group atmosphere made working out feel like a party.
Reach.
Number 3. Having to untangle a phone cord. Remember those curly phone cords? They'd get tangled into knots that seemed impossible to unravel. They needed to be straightened occasionally so you could move around while talking. It was a small nuisance, but part of using a landline phone. Untangling the cord became a common household task. And number 2, party lines. Party lines were shared phone lines used by multiple households. When you picked up the phone, you might hear your neighbor's conversation already in progress. You had to await your turn or ask them to hang up to call. It was an early form of social networking with a lot more eavesdropping.
Yes, Jennifer, you've been chosen to get on the party line.
Number 1, Saturday morning cartoons. Saturday mornings were magical, filled with hours of cartoons on TV. Kids would wake up early, bowl of cereal in hand, to watch their favorite animated shows. It was a weekly tradition, with shows like Transformers, Scooby-Doo, and the Smurfs keeping us entertained. It was pure joy and a cherished part of childhood. That's it for today. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more exciting content. See you next time.